Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Thank you for joining me wherever you are joining me. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree. Whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. I am delighted to be joined for the first time by my Instagram audience. Shout out to StreamYard for finally getting to connect to add Instagram to the proceedings. I was wondering, don't mind me, I'm an idiot. I was wondering if they would ever get their act together when it came to that, and they finally did, and I really do appreciate it because a lot of the people that follow me on Instagram. They don't follow me anywhere else. They may not listen to the podcast. They may not watch the stream on Twitter or on Facebook or on YouTube. So to be able to come to you live and direct to Instagram, I mean, it's pretty fly. So shout out to Instagram for finally getting their stuff together. Shout out to StreamYard for making sure that I have my platform right. Although something's going on, y'all need to, check your connectivity. It's interesting when I think about this Cam Newton situation and him being almost vilified for saying that a few of the quarterbacks in the NFL are subpar. And I don't even think he was saying subpar. I think he just said that they were game managers. And a lot of people out there killed him. A lot of the media people killed him. And it's interesting because I have several different layers that I think come into play with this. And I think all of them are valid. Number one, it was predictable that they would choose Dak Prescott as the guy that they wanted to go back at Cam Newton for. They didn't choose, Brock Purdy. They didn't choose Tua Tagovailoa. They chose Dak Prescott. Well, here's my issue with that. People have been kicking Dak Prescott's back end for years. There's been no protection. There's been nobody coming to his defense to say, hey, man, you know what? Dak is good. Dak is really good. Now, when a borderline Hall of Fame quarterback who is probably, until Lamar Jackson surpasses him, the greatest dual threat quarterback we've ever seen in the NFL, definitely the most intimidating, dominant, physically gifted dual threat quarterback we've ever seen in the NFL. That's bar none. He is one of one. There'll never be another Cam Newton. He is that dude, right? I'm not saying that he's the greatest quarterback ever, but I'm saying that as far as when you line up and you create a player at quarterback, when you do that create a player thing at quarterback, guess who you create? You most likely create Cam Newton. 6'5", 6'6", 240 something pounds, running sub 40-yard dashes. Like, that's who you create. Cannon arm. So that's the person that's criticizing, that's being critical of these quarterbacks. But it's interesting that they chose Dak Prescott, right? Number one, the media chose Dak Prescott because Dak Prescott is connected to Cowboys Nation. And there is a thing in media that if you want engagement, if you want clicks, talk Cowboys. That is why every day on the Talking Head shows, Get Up and First Take and All Undisputed and every other place, they talk Cowboys every single day. That's why they do it. Why? Because talking Cowboys gets a little bit of the juice going, right? So that's one thing. The second thing is that they chose Dak because they didn't want to choose the other two guys that they knew they had no actual evidence to try to support. They chose Dak because they thought that Dak's statistics were comparable with Cam Newton's statistics. and maybe even better. What they didn't think about is his impact. His impact has not been on the level of Cam Newton. Cam Newton was not only the face of a franchise, Cam Newton was the face of a league trying to shift from old school, pasty, traditionalist football to a new, more hip generation of football. Cam Newton didn't just have advertisement. Cam Newton was the advertisement. Under Armour essentially hitched its entire football wagon to Cam Newton, and they rode Cam Newton for several years. They made their business the Cam Newton business for 7 years. You want to know how popular Cam Newton was? Cam Newton got people to wear the ugliest cleats in the history of man. Those Cam Newton cleats were not fly at all. The super high top, lace them all the way up to the top like your shoe has a spat on it. Them things were not fly. He had kids out here wearing them things like those things were Jordans. That's the impact that Cam Newton had. Cam Newton never, not once in his life, had the level of weapons that Dak Prescott, Brock Purdy, Tua Tagovailoa, or almost any of these other quarterbacks in the NFL that are good today have had. I want you to ask yourself one question. If you put prime Cam Newton on that Cowboys team over the last 3 years, over the last 2 years, just this year, if you put prime Cam Newton on that team, who beats them? I'll wait. If you put prime Cam Newton on the Bengals, prime Cam Newton on the Bills, prime Cam Newton on the Ravens, prime Cam Newton in San Francisco is so scary I don't even want to think about it. Prime Cam Newton over there in LA with the Chargers. If you put prime Cam Newton everywhere that you see there's a good quarterback, it's upgraded. Even in Kansas City, with the weapons that they have, guess what? Prime Cam Newton knows how to work without legitimate wide receivers. He's done it his entire career. He turned Ted Ginn Jr. into a 1,000-yard receiver, making him look like a number one. He got Ted Ginn Jr. paid for years upon years to come. He turned Greg Olsen into a Hall of Famer. Right? Greg Olsen was a good tight end. I believe Greg Olsen has a chance to be a Hall of Famer. Why? Because Cam Newton. Before the brotherly shove, the tush push, it was Cam Newton. The greatest short yardage, indefensible weapon that has ever been in the National Football League. He didn't have to do it from under center. You threw it to you shot it to him in the shotgun, and he just did whatever it is he wanted to do, but it was going to be a first down when he was finished with it, and he was going to get up and point that way, do his little boogie. That's Cam Newton's effect. We're not talking about some lollipop lollygagger, some dude who barely made the league, some guy who flamed out. We're not talking about some dude who never played the position. We're talking about Cam Newton. So when he says something about these quarterbacks, we should listen. He didn't say they were bad. He said that they were managers. He said that they were managers, that they were not elevators. All of the stuff that Cam Newton said, which included Dak Prescott, but was not specifically aimed at Dak Prescott. What he said, you guys in the media have been saying for years. You've been saying it. Nobody's been checking you on it. Not in the mainstream media. You've been talking reckless. You've been talking spicy about Dak Prescott and what he can't do and how he has to prove it and all of those other things. You've been doing it. Nobody's checked you on it. Now, all of a sudden, Cam Newton says it, and because he didn't say it on ESPN, because he didn't say it on FS1, because he didn't say it on, a network, cable, and or primetime television show, all of a sudden now he's trolling. He's just trying to get clicks. He's trying to get you to like and subscribe. He wants to be talked about on Get Up. So then you got people on Get Up trying to throw salt on his name. Well, Cam Newton's only 32, 33 years old. He's not in the league anymore. Y'all are trying to say it like he's not good. Cam Newton right now is an upgrade over 10 quarterbacks in the NFL. You know what he's not? He's not Cam Newton, MVP Cam Newton. But he's better than some of these dudes that are getting minutes right now. You're telling me that he's not better than what they're doing in the Jets, Falcons, Buccaneers, Saints. Just Giants. People are Tommy DeVito in it to death. They turned Tommy DeVito into a triple option quarterback. They turned Tommy DeVito into a triple option quarterback, won a game, and everybody's out here doing this. Cam Newton at 32 is better than anything on that roster at quarterback. Healthy Daniel Jones, healthy Tyrod Taylor, healthy Tommy DeVito. Sorry. So we're over here talking as if he's like done. We know why Cam Newton's not in the league. Here's the reasons why Cam Newton's not in the league. Number one, we don't know how good his shoulder is. We don't know if his shoulder can hold up for a season. Can we invest in him and then it not work out and now we've got to find a different way, i.e. Aaron Rodgers? The second reason Cam Newton's not in the league as even a backup is because nobody wants Cam Newton as a backup. Because Cam Newton as a backup is going to threaten your starting quarterback. Look around the league. There are no backup quarterbacks in the league who threaten the starting quarterback. The only backup quarterback in the league who threatens the starting quarterback is Tyrod Taylor, and they did everything to assure us that they would not give Tyrod Taylor the starting quarterback job, including when Daniel Jones got hurt and Tyrod Taylor got hurt, and they looked like a competent, well-run, organized team with Tyrod Taylor. Then guess what they did? When Taylor got hurt, they said, hey, we're going to roll with Tommy DeVito, and even when you come back healthy, we're still not giving you back the job. Why? Because we can't afford to have you look good and play good so that people go, why was Tyrod Taylor not out there the entire time? New York is the only place that has a backup quarterback that you could legitimately say he's probably as good, if not better, than the starting quarterback. Everywhere else, it's not even close. So now, if you put New Orleans with Jameis Winston, who's essentially getting the Tyrod Taylor treatment. We can't put you out there because people are going to see that you're good. They're going to wonder why we don't want to play you, and we don't want to play you because we just don't like you. We just don't like you. We don't like your superior energy, whatever it is. I don't know. So if you bring a Cam Newton in, Cam Newton's his aura, it's strong, it's powerful. His visage is there. And because it's there, you have to deal with it. And so when your quarterback struggles, they're going to go, what about Cam Newton? When your quarterback can't pick up a first down with his feet, what about Cam Newton? When you've got 3rd and 1s and 4th and 1s or goal line plays, what about Cam Newton? That's what they're going to say. And so to protect their starting quarterbacks, they can't have you on the team if you're a Cam Newton. This isn't a situation where You're just not good enough. It's a situation where they don't want to take the chance of you, Cam Newton, being something that is divisive in the locker room, because the players are going to be the first people to see it. The players are going to say, hey, yo, why is that dude out here? Cam Newton's right here in this locker. I can see this monster right here in the locker. Put him out there. So they don't. That's not what they're trying to do. That's not how they're trying to live. So for the arguments from people like Jason Horowitz and to be, oh, well, Cam Newton's washed up and that's why he's not out there, not only are you foolhardy, but you are purposely misleading people. You are purposely getting it wrong. Why? Because you want to spin the narrative, because you want to have a reason to dogpile on Cam. Why? Because Cam Newton's name is still hot as fish grease. People are upset that a lot of these players have decided, yo, we're not going to go to ESPN or to Fox and allow them to pimp us for a couple of years, squeeze all the last juice that we have from being former players, and then pitch us away, but give like Tony Romo $100 million contract. And Tony Romo, for my money, is the most overrated commentator going in the game right now. He's just out there like willy-nilly flipping it out there. And people act like he's out there being a savant. He started getting plays right his first year doing it, got a few plays right, and now all of a sudden he's Nostradamus. He gets plays mad wrong all the time. Don't nobody say anything about it. But we've got smoke for Cam Newton. Where was this smoke when David Carr or Derek Carr, whichever Carr it is, was out there saying that the Philadelphia Eagles need to bench Jalen Hurts in favor of Marcus Mariota? Where are people going, yo, he's smoking something. Yo, he must be trolling. He must be joking. Where was all of that energy? When people were getting on Dak Prescott, where was the energy? Right? From Dominique Foxworth saying, hey man, you don't know what you're talking about. Hey, keep his name out your mouth. Like, where was this level of like, I'm ready to go? Because we can keep it funky. If it's Dominique Foxworth and Cam Newton, who I want to hear from, who I want to listen to, it's Cam Newton. And I really like Dominique Foxworth. I think Dominique Foxworth is one of the more like intellectually introspective commentators that we have as former players, right? He talks at that Bomani Jones level, but he's been on the inside. Like Bomani Jones talks to that level and all that, but Bomani Jones, for as much as he talks about sports, Bomani Jones wasn't never good at no sports. And even with him being kind of sort of tall, like I would look at Bomani Jones as food. Bomani Jones ain't never been no better, nothing on the athletic arena than I am. Guess what he is? He's way better at that thing than I am. I can admit it. Like that thing that he does that better than anybody else. The closest person I've seen to do the thing that Bomani Jones does, I think that Dominique Foxworth is probably as close to it as I've seen. The difference with Fox is that he's been in the trenches, right? Like we can say all we want about some of these players and what they do, how they do it, you know, but at the end of the day, for me, if you're going to criticize, like at least put the requisite respect on the name. Now, here's my criticism for Cam. You could have said all of those names. You didn't have to bring Dak Prescott in it. You played the media game And the media doesn't like you playing the media game. You threw Dak Prescott in there because Dak Prescott gets it spicy. He gets it popping. Right? And you were keeping it funky on a Funky Friday. But you ain't have to take a shot at Dak Prescott like that. He didn't deserve it. He didn't deserve it. He caught a stray. He didn't deserve it. You're catching bullets. You don't deserve it because you didn't say anything that other people haven't said for years upon years upon years about him. But what I think is interesting is nobody brought up Brock Purdy. Nobody wanted to have that Brock Purdy conversation. He started by saying the San Francisco Giants the San Francisco 49ers are not winning because of Brock Purdy. He's a manager. Then he went to some other places. He said Miami's not winning because of Tua. And then he brought in Dak. Y'all don't say nothing about Brock. You don't say nothing about Tua. Why? Because you know he's right. And if he's right, if they're not elevating, then if you did put somebody in those positions, what would it look like? Take the top two quarterbacks, top three, top four, top five, right? It's Mahomes, then it's everyone else to the second tier. Right now, that's Lamar, that's Jalen Hurts, maybe Joe Burrow, although he had a really awful year, in my opinion, before and after, between the injuries. Josh Allen, right? If you put any one of those people on San Francisco, is it a cheat code? Is it an even better squad? Yes. It's not a diss. You put Lamar Jackson, you put Jalen Hurts on those teams. Come on, man. What are we talking about? Same thing in Miami. What are we talking about? So Cam's not saying anything crazy, but to make it seem as if Cam's not in the league because he can't play is crazy. And I agree. I agree with some of you out there who says that Cam has a lot of mileage. Well, yeah, he does. But in today's NFL, where you can barely touch the quarterback, remember, one of the biggest issues that Cam was taking hits that no other quarterback had to take. They would throw a flag for every other quarterback taking those levels of hits. Every other quarterback, they would go, that's a flag. Cam would get hit, no flag. He'd pop up. Why? Because he's a Sherman tank playing quarterback. The same guy who was in a bad car accident the morning and then still played in the 1 o'clock game, if I'm not mistaken. I might have been throwing a little extra sauce on that. I don't remember if it was a day before or what, but he had a car accident that he was in. And then a day later or the same day played in the football game. That Cam Newton. That's the guy we're talking about here. So everybody that wants to take shots, remember, they're asking you to take shots for a reason. It's big business. It's big business for black people in the media to shoot down and degrade other black people. That's big business. Don't fall for the banana in the tailpipe out there. Legitimate criticism, cool. If they want you to do something, leave that for someone else. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Talk Spicy. I'm Coach Gene Clemens. Do this thing a few times a week. Rate the show, comment, agree, disagree, but whatever you do, keep it spicy. 5-star ratings are appreciated. And if you're joining me on the YouTube channel, make sure you like, make sure you subscribe. If you're hanging out with me on Instagram, welcome. You'll be here all the time with me from now on. Until next time, peace.